Hello friends, I'm getting everything all hooked up. Oop, this is a little off. That works. Perfect. Let's open up Facebook on my iPad. Oop, we want sound off. Great. Level it out a little bit. Just make sure we're all good to go for today. If you are stopping by, drop a quick comment just to say hello. I don't know, I just got this weird message on my iPad being about what's playing after this live. And I'm like, I don't know how it's gonna play after because it's still going. Anyways. All right, y'all. And then I just had a friend, oh my gosh. I don't know if y'all watch The Mole on Netflix, but it's a very fun show. And I just had a friend text me about one of the challenges on the season that they think that we would do very well at. And so I got sidetracked because it came up on my iPad. But hello, Patsy, and hello, Barbara. Hope you guys are having a wonderful Saturday morning, afternoon. I think, Barbara, if you're in Kansas, you're probably in Central Time like me, I'm imagining. So it's about 1 o'clock where you are. Patsy, I know you're more West Coast bound, so it's more closer to 11. So you haven't had lunch yet. Maybe. I'm going to assume you haven't, but you could have. But thank you both so much for stopping by. I'm sure we'll get some other people to trickle in eventually. But I wanted to have a little bit of crafty fun today. And I know I put a poll in the Facebook group yesterday. And I wanted to know what character y'all wanted to see me color up for today's live. And you had decided that you wanted to see this adorable, well, I say adorable. It's kind of a scary character, but I feel like you can make him adorable if you wanted. Her, them. I think her is more correct in this case. But we're going to use some of the characters from Scream. Actually, we're going to use all the characters from Screamworthy. And earlier today, I already colored up the fox, the bear, and the bird. So we're going to color up the bunny, and then we're going to put it on a card. And I'm going to use a little bit of pizza inspiration for the card. But I'm also throwing like a tech sort of feel on it too. So stay tuned for that. I'll get into more details about my background later. So we are gonna go ahead, we're gonna color up this bunny. What I found coloring this morning with the other characters, they all actually have rather simple color palettes. So it shouldn't take too long to color up. We're gonna get into it. We're gonna start with some BB17. And what did I determine? Trying to figure out what side for the shadow. We're gonna do it this way. So I'm just gonna do this BB17, and I just have a 3-color blend for, we'll call it the body, just like the main sort of color of this character. And then we're also gonna go around the mouth, over the top, and then we're gonna start adding this in up here, just like that, up there, and then we're gonna just mimic the other ear. I'm also very excited because I don't have to fussy cut this image because I've got the coordinating die set, so I'll be sure to use that as well. Alright, let's just kind of build up over here. More zany characters. Like basketball and video games. Well, the zany characters, in my opinion, Barbara, kind of lend themselves really nicely to basketball if you've got a certain like outer space alien feel with it, if you catch my drift. But I know you probably have to bring in some basketball elements. I know there was a slam dunk stamp set a while ago. I don't know if you have it, but we did do a slam dunk basketball set that maybe you could incorporate some elements from that. Who knows? Maybe we'll get lucky and maybe we'll do an outer space basketball add-on. I know nothing about that, and I'm being honest. But you never know what's going to come our way. So we're just going to keep on going in with that BB17. actually considering, I should have done it earlier, but I'm considering watching the movie of this fandom maybe after this live. But we'll see. We'll see. We're just kind of going in, kind of making sure to shade appropriately with all of the different folds of the different mechanisms of their body. Let's see, check comments. No lunch for Patsy. I'm sorry you don't have this set. Maybe it'll get restocked at some point if it's not available right now. That's the only one that I know of that would probably help. But we're going to go on to BD13. But I'm also talking strictly Kindred products. So, I mean, you may have other basketball items from other companies in your stash that might work really well with it. So we're just going to kind of go in. I need to think about what I want for lunch in a little bit. I always make the habit of eating after a live and not before, and that's probably not the smartest thing to do, but I did get lucky today. My husband, he usually is gone and at work on Saturdays before I wake up, but today his schedule's a little different because he's coming home a little later. But he got to stay around the house a little longer this morning, so I was able to make us breakfast, which is great. So I did have eggs and toast this morning, so I'm not operating on an empty stomach. And I don't use my BB markers, my blue-violet markers, too often. I lean more towards regular violet markers if I'm going for purples, but if I'm being true to character for this character, I do think that they're a little bit more bluish purple than just strictly purple, and I'm actually thinking I may need to pull in a fourth marker. Let me just see. Triple zero? I should. Here we go. Just in case I think I'm going to use it. All right, next we're going to go in BB11, which is soft violet. Just to kind of help continue to bring this purple color out. And then I know I posted in the group, I do have Copic Marker Combinations saved for the other 3 characters. So you will have those when I post the blog. So you'll have coloring recipes with Copic markers for all of them. And then if you use other forms of coloring, I know there's like converter charts out there that you can use for other coloring. I want to say coloring utensils, but that's not right. And I say mediums. I guess maybe other coloring mediums. Maybe you're using Spectrum Noir Tri-Blends, or you're using Olo markers. Maybe you watercolor, whatever floats your boat. I know a lot of people have been using Ohuhu markers. So lots of options out there. If y'all have done a live with me previously or watched one of my coloring tutorials for one of the kits, you know that I do essentially exclusively Copic marker coloring. I do have the full set of Copics, which I do enjoy using. I do have one 24 count set of the Tri-Blends. Don't love them, and I think that's because I'm spoiled with my Copics and they're just a bit of a difference. And hello Gwen, happy Saturday, hope you're having a good day. But that's not a knock at people who really enjoy Tri-Blends. I think we all need to just find the sort of coloring medium that works the best for us and what our style is and how we like our images to look. And for me, I'm finding that I don't think that I will be changing from Copics anytime soon. I do the research though, I promise. This is BB000. I'm glad I'm incorporating this because this really allows to get the highlight of the image. And I also want to apologize. I'm probably bringing attention to something that you wouldn't notice if I said otherwise because we're crafting, but you might notice that my fingers are rather stained, and that's because I was getting quite inky earlier this morning as I was crafting. I've been working on lots and lots of Halloween themed projects recently, and I've been kind of getting allowing myself to get a little inky and grungy, and it's been a lot of fun. A lot of different types of styles going on. Can't talk specifics about what I've been working on, but if you follow me on Instagram, you will find out soon enough. I know 2 or 3 of these you'll see very soon, probably in the upcoming week or so. One is for a Halloween hop that I participate in at the end of every month that ends in the 31st. So any month with 31 days, I do a hop, and I was getting that card ready. It's super cute. Halloween is my favorite time to craft all year. Barbara, I'm just starting to color all over with Olos. I know some people just love the Olos. And so I'm glad that you're taking time to learn. I hope that they are working super well for you. I have been kind of behaving lately when it comes to spending money on crafting supplies, which is kind of wild. And it might just be because I've had so many things to work on recently that I've been trying to work through products that I already have or that I need to work on. Of course, that never really applies to Kindred stuff because I need to have everything. But I've been pretty well behaved, so I haven't really been like investing in any sort of new mediums or whatnot. I did just get, and I'm going to play with them a little bit today. I don't know if you have seen the Distress Spritzes. They're a spray. And I've been enjoying those. What I like about them is they're very subtle. So they're not going to like overwhelm your whole project. So we're going to use a little bit of that today. We're going to make a background that's going to have a couple different elements of spritz and splatters on it. So I'm excited to do that with y'all today. Alright, so that was BB17. I know I just put the marker off screen a little bit. Let's make sure I'm not missing any comments. I'm not. Great. We're going to take a quick drink of water. Alright. But oh, so much ink. So much ink everywhere. I was using a lot of Distress spray stains today. I can show you guys in a little bit because I can show you one of my backgrounds. Kind of an exclusive, and I wanted to do kind of a non-traditional Halloween card. So I'm doing like grungy. I'm focusing more grungy rather than like explicit Halloween spooky colors. But I think a lot of times grunge allows itself to have a spooky vibe without it being strictly like orange, green, and purple and black. So I'll show you guys what I was working on when I get later on in this live, or maybe after we get this character all colored up. I really do enjoy working with the sprays as a medium. I know I do a lot of ink blending. We're going to be doing a lot of ink blending today too. It's nice to work with the sprays because you kind of have to just relinquish all control and accept whatever it's going to turn out with, because you're never really going to be able to replicate it again. And I like that because it takes some of the pressure off about getting it to look exactly the way that you want, because you kind of have to accept the fact that it won't. And I like that. It's kind of therapeutic, and you can sit there and cut up a bunch of pieces of paper and just kind of go to town on working on backgrounds. I always recommend working on them in batches, not just doing one at a time if time allows, because you can use the same colors when you're working with sprays, and you can take 4 pieces of paper, and depending on how you decide to spray the paper, or in what order, or how much of each color, they're all going to look entirely different. And maybe you just need use for one of them now, but you can put the other 3 of them away and grab them when you need them. I have to clean up this image just a little bit with some gel pens, but that's okay. Perfect. And then lastly, we're going to use some BB000 which is iridescent mauve. I've never thought of mauve being an iridescent color, but here we are. Or even the option for mauve to be iridescent. I was kind of surprised because I was watching the voting because I was just curious to see who people wanted colored up live. And you know what? Maybe I shouldn't be surprised that it's this character because this character is purple. And I did post the poll in the Kindred Stamps fan club, so that's actually entirely appropriate. But I assumed people were going to want to see the bear colored because he's kind of like the leader of this animatronic band. I am enjoying coloring them all up. I think I may have enjoyed coloring up the fox the most. I mean, of the 3 that I colored up in advance. Look at all cute. I also think, feel free to allow your characters to have a little bit of a grunge factor to them as well. If you want to have like a little bit more of like a darker color style to them, a little bit more like devious look, because they are devious characters and they kind of have like the ability right now to look cutesy, and I don't know, they're not necessarily meant to be cutesy. All right, let's see. I should have grabbed a darker marker for this. That's okay. All right, so we're gonna go in, we're gonna work on other parts of the body. We're gonna work on, I'm trying to figure out, I don't remember what color the nose was, but we're just gonna go in, we're gonna with an N7, and then I'm going to go in with N5 and sort of do the inner ears. What's great about that is any of my coloring outside the line that got into the ears will get very easily covered up. Just that. Okay. And then we're going to go in with some N3. Oh, you know what? I forgot for the N5 to do the little bit of the nose. I'm going to do N3. Add that in. That. I was gonna reach for my cool gray markers, but I ended up using the neutral gray markers on all of the other characters, and I wanted to keep my colors kind of similar amongst them, so that way if someone else wanted to replicate this card with all the characters and using my markers as inspiration, that you could just kind of not need a bunch of different markers. So I really have tried. That's been a goal of mine recently, is to make sure that as I'm coloring and I'm doing tutorials with y'all, that I try my best to rein it in with markers when possible. I don't mean I want to like not use a bunch of colors because and make like the image not look great. Like that's not what I'm saying, but like sometimes I can make little changes with markers where it's like, okay, Justin, do you really need this to be like N6, 4, and 2 when the other 3 images you colored have N7, 5, and 3? Usually not. So that's what I'm trying to be mindful about, so I don't make y'all need to reach for a bunch of different ones when not necessary. All right. Let's color these again, and I'm realizing I skipped the inside of the mouth, and that's okay. Oh, spin, spin. Next we'll do the nose again. The spritzes really are great, Barbara. I'm glad you like them too. I've been using them a lot over the last week. I ordered them because they came out like mid-ish June. I was at my in-laws' house for the weekend when they came out, and I remember ordering them. And I just finally, actually I have a duplicate, I have 2 sets of them, but that's another story. But I finally was able to break them out, and I've used I think after today's live, I'll have used 9 of the colors, which is a great start. Because there's 12 in the set. I hope they do more colors of them, that they come out in all of the distress colors, because I really would love black soot. I think a black soot spritz would be great. I'm trying to think what else. I love that they did picked raspberry, but I like kitsch flamingo. You know, and we do need salvage patina, absolutely. That's probably the one that I need the most. And N1. Just gonna go in. I want to go in really quickly now that I've finished off with the grays. I want to fix something with the BVs. I have a BV 000, and I just kind of want to go around the chest, blend that in a little bit. Perfect. Just I'm seeing some splotchiness that, because I didn't color it fully. Just like that. Okay. Last, we've got the bow tie. The bow tie is like a dark red, so we're gonna do some R37. So just R37, and then we're gonna do R35. Normally I would go a little darker, but this is a smaller bow and I didn't want to cram too many colors into a small space. So I have R32. Ideally, I'd like to start off with like R39, but I thought that it just would look too muddled. So that's okay. So we're doing it this way. Do R37. I'm just gonna go back and let R32 since it's such a small spot and just blend that out. Awesome. And then something to keep into mind with these characters too is that they're animatronics, and you could totally get away with giving them some really cute highlights because they work really nicely for metal-ish related characters. So keep that in mind if you wanted to add gel pen accents. I will not be doing that. I'm trying to get my gel pen ready just to touch up some of these edges. And actually, this gel pen is thinner than what I normally use. I usually use the Jelly Roll 10s, and this is the 08. So that's okay. Perfect. All right, so we've got our bunny all colored up, and I'm gonna set this aside because I want, you know, we're gonna work on our sentiment first, because then I've got to do die cutting, and I only want to do it once. So let's get, where's my die cut? Or my sentiment that I can work on. So let's see. There we go. So I've got just a piece of dark brown scrap paper. Now remember, pizza is my inspiration for today's live. So we're gonna be using some pizza colors to bring everything together along with the pizza party paperback. So let's go in. Oh, and I'm just realizing I didn't get any of my embossing stuff. That's what I forgot. Hey, if that's what I forgot, that's not the end of the world. So let me grab my Snowfall embossing powder. Let me grab my Kindred Stamps embossing pad and my embossing tool. So just gonna kind of go in, put it down there. And then for my sentiment, I want to do congratulations, you survived another year, because I think that would just be really cute for like a little birthday card. And I can be a little sloppy because I'm gonna die cut this out with some sentiment banners from my stash. I'm gonna pick that up. And then we're gonna go ahead, we're gonna use our embossing ink pad and just kind of make sure it's nice and covered. And do it once more. Grab a piece of cardstock just to catch my embossing powder. I've got some Snowfall embossing powder we're gonna use. And that looks pretty good coverage. All right, so I'm gonna set that to the side. I'm gonna put all of my embossing powder back into the jar. I always try to do that first because if you don't, it lends itself to be a mess. And I'm gonna grab my embossing gun. Let's go ahead. Now while that's cooling off, I'm going to clean off my sentiment. Now one thing I do like to talk about is if you are stamping your sentiments like to heat emboss with your Misty, and then you've got, here, I'm just going to say shortly what I'm trying to say. Don't put your paper down on your Misty on top of your like foam mat to heat emboss because this will melt. Why? Why do I know this? I'm sure you understand why I know this, because I've done this. And then you have to go buy another one. And I hate doing that. Anytime there's something in your like craft supply that should last, that's not like a exhaustible product. For example, this distress sprayer. I had the identical product for many years. And then I accidentally decided to drop it and it cracked. And I had to get a new one. That frustrates me, but it happens. So, all right, so we're gonna go ahead. We're gonna put my Misty down. Now, let's work on die cutting. So I'm gonna use the coordinating dies for Screamworthy. Grab some low-tack mint tape. Let's see. Just like that. Okay. And then I also grabbed some dies from my stash for sentiment banners. So I'm just gonna grab one of those. Let's put that into place. Make sure it's nice and tacked down. Just like that. I also thought about using my new die cutting machine. I got the new Spellbinder Scout. I haven't put it together yet. And I thought it would be nice during Facebook Live to use, and wouldn't you know it, totally forgot to do it. All right, so we're gonna put our dies on here. And what are you doing, Justin? Let's see. There we go. I keep having the little rubber stoppers on my handle of my die cutting machine. It keeps popping out on me. And I'm like debating of just gluing it into place, but then it's like, then if you have a problem that you've got to go in and like tighten the screw, you're gonna have a huge headache. So, okay, so we're gonna go in, let's see, let's make sure this is die cut nicely. And it did, we've got our little rabbit all ready to go. And then let's see my sentiment. Congratulations, you survived another year. This looks fantastic too. So I'm gonna take this and set that off to the side. I also love any opportunity to use irregular scraps. And my sentiment paper was definitely something that fit that bill. All right, so let me put a couple things away. And then we can get into our background, which is like our last main element of the card before assembly. So, put that back. Put my die back. I like to put my dies back as I use them because I am the type of person that if I don't, it will go missing. And we don't want that. All right, screen-worthy sentiment can go away. Perfect. Okay, so let's go in, let's talk about what we're gonna do for our background. So I have, and I called it the pizza party stamp set. It's called Pizza Night. And I'm using this paper. I've already cut it out. I just gotta grab it. I really like this yellow pattern, and I'm using it with craft cardstock, which I die cut a piece of craft cardstock using the stitched rectangle from the Card Basics stamp set, and I'm gonna just nest it like this. Like I said, I'm going to be utilizing pizza colors, and this just gives me so many pizza vibes. One of my favorite thing that I saw that this stamp set or this paper pack was used with, I was going on the website and it reminded me that Mindy had made pizzas using this paper and craft cardstock, and I just think it was so clever. She used the 2 circles from the Card Basics stamp set to do it, and she did the larger circle in the craft, the smaller circle on the pizza pattern, and you can use, there's this one with all the different toppings, there's also this pepperoni pattern. Whatever you want to use, those are probably going to be the 2 most common ones seen, but I mean, you could do any of them and they would really work. But we're going to use it just like this. So let's get into a little bit of ink blending. So I told you guys, let's check comments. We're good. I think we're still good on comments. I told you all I was going to do something like a little tech with this because we're working with animatronics, and I thought like circuit board stencil or circuit stencil meets Pizza Night paper pack kind of goes for the vibe that like I wanted to hit. So we're going to use the circuit stencil, and I am going to tack this down using pixie spray. So let me get my pixie spray ready. I've got my old Kindred stamp splatter box, and we're going to go ahead. Let's see, how do I want this to go? Do that side. I'm gonna take my pixie spray, which is a low tack adhesive spray. I'm just gonna kind of, and then close it, just to let it sit for like 30 seconds. And then we're gonna do some ink blending. Now, the reason I like to use pixie spray is I like to use them on what I call delicate stencils. Delicate stencils are stencils that have portions that can kind of shift when you're ink blending over it and cause those like blurry lines, and I like to use the pixie spray. Evidently my Amazon device is telling me something is going to get delivered or has been, but I like to use the pixie spray to stabilize those delicate portions of a stencil so I don't have to worry about blurry lines. So let's go in, because like you guys can see that there's just kind of some piece of this that I constitute as delicate. So I'm gonna go in. I also highly recommend using pixie spray if you're using any sort of a paste, because one of my biggest like pet peeves as a crafter when I am crafting is seeing that you used a paste and you worked on such a pretty background and you removed the stencil to like see how the paste set, and it like got smushed underneath some of the stencil, and there's like smushy areas. I just don't love it. So that's Justin problems, not y'all's problems, but that's why I do what I do. So we're gonna go in, we're gonna do a combination of walnut stain and frayed burlap. Let's start with the frayed burlap. No, we're gonna start with walnut stain because it's darker. I'm just gonna go in and just sort of splotch it down. See, I say about tacking it down. For whatever reason down there, it ain't doing it. So we're gonna add another piece of tape just to hold it down. All right, so next we're gonna do frayed burlap, which is a little lighter, but it'll still be darker than the paper. We're just gonna kind of blend it. And this way, different parts of the circuit board stencil is gonna be lighter, some of it's gonna be darker. But also, we're gonna spritz over this too. Realistically, I should be using an acrylic block to hold this, to not make my fingers get super inky, but that's okay. We'll suffer with the consequences if they arise. All right, I think I might have missed a little over here. Just do, sure. That's good, okay. Okie doke. Now, we're gonna go in with, I've got walnut stain distress spritz that I said that we would be using. I have to get the ball going for it. Since this is the first time I'm using this color, just gotta get all the glittery bits going. There we go. And I'm just gonna like that. Hopefully that's not too much. And if it is, I gravely apologize. So let's see. But like I said, it's spooky. I don't mind when spooky goes a little grungy. It does have a little bit of a grunginess to it, but I actually like the way that it looks. All right, let's use a heat gun to set this in place. This way I don't have to worry about any of my spritz spreading and whatnot or getting smeared. Let's do a little bit of cleanup. Did my towel go? Let's clean off our white mirror. I gotta clean up the stencil next. Just make sure I get this nice and clean. Try to be gentle with it the best I can. Cool. I'm gonna put that stencil off to the side, let it dry off a little bit, and then let's work on this background. So I'm gonna grab some Vintage Photo Distress ink. Just sort of distress the edges. Could have done that first, but I didn't, and that's okay. Just like that. And then what are we gonna do? Let's do some scorched timber splatters. A little bit of water. A little bit more. There, perfect. All the splattering. All right, set that aside for a second. Let's clean this up, and then we'll do a little bit more splattering as well. So I'm gonna use some liquid gold paper splatter. It's like a watercolor by Picket Fence Studios. Water it down just a wee bit. And then now this may not splatter in perfect dots. You might get some more stringiness to it, which is okay. Just kind of make yourself aware of that. That's why sometimes it's nice to add a little bit of water to make it a little runnier. Perfect. All right, let's wipe that clean. I might bring another heat gun once again. And then I'm gonna finish this with some white splatter. All right, just making sure we're getting everything all nice and dry. I love that circuit background. I know it looks a little messier than it would if we didn't use a spray or we just kept it strictly inks. But I really feel like whenever you're working on something scary, horror related, grunge is always going to lend itself so perfectly. But what I mean when I'm telling you that is allow yourself to make those mistakes. Don't feel like they have to be covered up. Don't worry if something looks a little runnier. You don't have to start from scratch. Use it to your benefit. Or if you are going to start over because you're not working on a horror project, think about if you could save the background for a future project that might be something a little spooky-ooky. Just got a little bit. Also remember too, you're gonna cover a bunch of this up with characters, and you're gonna cover it up with sequins, and don't worry about it. This is white snowflake liquid paper splatter. Oop, don't want that to break. Let me water this down a little bit. And I just want to clean off my brush because it's usually great to start with a clean brush and with a white medium if you're going to splatter, because you don't have to worry about cross-contamination of color. But I went from dark brown to gold, and now I'm working with white, so you want to make sure that brush is nice and clean. So otherwise I'm going to get off-white. Now you could also splatter with reds and greens, because you can just use like pizza colors. I don't often use white. All right, just because I like that pop of brightness. All right, let's set that off to the side, clean this up. And now we're just kind of in the assembly phase of everything, because that was like the last main element. Everything else just kind of has to get adhered and put into place. So let's see, make sure I'm not missing any comments. Nope, we're good. All right, and if anyone has any questions, just let me know. We're just working along, which is totally cool. All right, let's see, what order do I want these characters to be in? I'm trying to line them all up. I want the bear to be kind of in the middle. I think we're gonna do them like that. But I just wanna know how I'm layering everything, and I kind of wanna make sure they're all in a straight line. So I'm using one of the tick marks on my glass mat as a way to make sure of that. So we're gonna go in, we're just gonna work on the bear real quick. So we're just gonna do a little bit behind his paw and his ear. We're gonna have him next to the bunny that we colored up. Let's see, the bunny is it. Where can be? Like that. Awesome. I just like them overlapping. I think it adds sort of a nice effect to the characters. And then if I make sure they're all lined up, that always works nicely. And then you can kind of play around with like which character is in the front, you know, like which is in the foreground. So I'm kind of making sure that since the bear's the leader of this group, that he's in the front. All right. Do the fox. I don't want to cover him up too much. We're gonna do make sure this is good. Make sure everyone's nice and level. I know I always get quiet when I'm lining things up. Okay, so I should do one last little bit. Glue. All right, now let's map this out, just how I want everything to lie. So realistically, see, this kind of changes things because they do fit across the card. I was gonna have them like this, and I think I'm still going to. Okay, so we're gonna do them across the card like this, and then we're gonna put them on foam tape, and then I'm gonna put the sentiment right underneath. So let's start adhering everything together, getting that ready. So we're gonna put the circuit board on this background. Just like that. That's one thing, is when you're adhering on top of some pattern papers, because it's got like a coating to it sometimes, the way that it's printed, it's very slick when you when you put an adhesive to it. So I'm just trying to be mindful of that. Just kind of carefully nudge everything into place. It's pretty good. It's pretty level to me. Use our oversized acrylic block just to hold everything down. Grab a drink of water. Perfect. Now let's work on the back of our images, and let's just put some adhesive in the form of foam tape. And we're going to, these three all kind of share a solid area. So I'm just gonna put a piece like that, and then I'm gonna do the bunny's ears. And then, let's see. Making sure all of my foam tape is nicely in place. Do piece right there. there. And then I'm just kind of trying any pieces that might overlap to put a piece of tape because it kind of holds the two things together. I know I always get quiet when I'm doing adhesives like this. I'm so sorry. Just kind of get to watch me put things into place, and that's not always fun. But we are getting there. Not too much left. Down. Maybe I need to come up with the idea of when stamps come out and they're die cut that there's like adhesive bits that are perfectly sized to put on the back of them. Wouldn't that be nice? All right, let's go ahead. Put this back on. I want to do adhesive on the back of my sentiment strip. Sentiment strip is ever so slightly wider than the foam tape in like the smallest way possible. So realistically, I can put the foam tape directly without having to trim anything down. So that's great. Okay. Let's also adhere our background to a card base. Oh, wow. That was something. So sorry about that. Go ahead and adhere that, just like this. Now, if you didn't want to like do a stenciled background, you could just use 2 patterns from the Pizza Night paper pack. Just use that as the, like, use the pizza toppings in the back, use one of like the polka dots. This is super cute. Okay. Now I gotta take off all the backing. Oh, yeah. I swear, I love using foam tape to like make things pop, but then when it comes to the facilitation of them, sometimes cut them to size, remove the backing. It's a lot. That's okay. We are getting through it. At least with the sentiment, it's just one thing, not multiple pieces. Didn't have to trim it down. None of that. Ooh, I'll tell y'all, I'm gonna be hungry after this. I'm honestly, after doing this, in the mood for pizza, to be quite honest, and I don't have that. I have pizza rolls, which may not be a terrible idea. But I could go for like just cheap pizza. I'm also a cold pizza person, which some people think is just absolutely like wrong. But oh, I tell you, I could eat cold pizza any day. All right, so they're gonna be slightly north of center. Trying to make sure they line up nicely. It's actually pretty good. Just hard to judge because the fox has like a little bit of a tuft of hair that sticks out where he's on one end, and then we've got the bird on the other end who has a rounded head. So I'm just trying to make sure everything lines up nicely. Let's see, 1, 6.5. Let's see. I think that's pretty good. It's pretty cute too. All right, let's do a couple sequins and finish it off. I have this gold and brown sequin mix from my stash that I wanted to use. Well, it's kind of more yellow and gold and brown, but that's okay. I'm just gonna like 1, 2, 3. I think I could get away with just 3 sequins. What else? What else? What else? What do I got? That one. We're gonna use you. No, you don't want to go into place. That's okay. All right, let me just push them down. I have some sequins. This one does not want to go into place. All right, we're gonna do a little bit more glue. Just like that. Perfect. And there you have it. We have our card, our pizza party birthday card, all situated. And we use the Screamworthy stamp set to go ahead and get everything taken care of. We use the Pizza Night paper pack for the background. We use the circuit stencil for some ink blending. We also made it spritzed with, it's super, oh, I love it. It's just got that little light bit of shimmer to it. And of course we splattered the heck out of it as well, just to add some fun distressedness to it. So there you guys have it. A fun way to use the Screamworthy paper pack. Use all the, it's not a Screamworthy paper pack. It's a Screamworthy stamp set. Gee whiz, Justin. But I just think this turned out super, super cute. Thank you guys so much for tuning in today. I know it was a quieter, kind of a slower Facebook Live, just in terms of me needing to take a bunch of time and cut adhesive and put it into place. And that's a-okay, because sometimes it's just nice to have a voice in your craft room or something to watch while you're getting everything taken care of. So thank you so, so much. Oh, the background. I'm gonna grab that. Thank you for reminding me, Barbara. I have 4 that I'm working on, and I actually have one that I want to show too with a stencil. And this one I was very proud with the way that the swirl all worked out, but I was just kind of working with some like non-traditional spooky-ish colors with splatters. So this is some blues and greens and browns. This is the one I'm gonna end up using. But I also went a little bit lighter without the brown. So I've got like 2 without a brown. I have one that with a lot of brown. So I thought it was really fun how those inky backgrounds all turned out, but you can see I already started to splatter with this one and whatnot. So I'm gonna use this. I also, earlier today, was working with a different paper, and I was able to do this like really fun sort of swirly background. And the only reason it turned out that way is because the paper had warped when I spritzed it with water. So the water was the sprays were kind of running down. So that was unique. And then I put some stenciled grit paste over it. So working on these, trying to figure out what I want to do. We're getting there though. So I'm excited to use them. Thank you for reminding me though, Barbara. But like I said, just kind of took a couple minutes, just kind of spritzed the crap out of, spritzed the crap. That sounds real nice, Justin. I spritzed a lot of paper. This one, oh, I have one more that I didn't show. This one's really dark. This one's got more brown in it. So that's still got that spookiness. So super fun. Don't know what I'm going to use the extras for yet, but I can figure something out. I can put them through a embossing folder or something. I'm sure I will figure something out. But thank you guys so much for stopping by today. I hope this gives you some crafty inspiration for how to use the Screamworthy set and the Pizza Night paper pack together to make some spooky and grungy birthday cards or Halloween cards, or whatever sort of cards fits for the occasion. Thank you guys once again for stopping by. Thank you, Gwen. Thank you, Barbara. Thank you, Patsy. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your weekend, and I will be back later this month, not next Wednesday, but the following with another Facebook Live. So I'll see you real soon. Goodbye.